Welcome to Season 2 of the Dr. Nikki Starr Show, a podcast to support you in your spiritual awakening and personal development. As a spiritual teacher, healer, and intuitive coach, my intention is to empower you to live your ultimate potential and your ultimate life. As a former medical doctor and mystic, my role is to bridge the gap between science and spirituality to support you in understanding more of your multidimensional aspects. I share on a diverse range of topics, and it's all to support your greatest becoming. My mission is to continue reaching millions of people for the healing and awakening of humankind for the creation of the new earth. Thank you for being here.
Hello, beautiful humans. I am Dr. Nikki Starr, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today, we will be talking about the unconscious and the subconscious and how it's so important to touch upon these on our healing journey because they are absolutely affecting how we show up in the world, how we think about things, our actions, our reactions, our responses, our perceptions, what we take away from situations, and how we live experiences. And the thing about the subconscious and the unconscious is that it's present, running in the field, but we're not conscious of it. And the nuance between subconscious and unconscious is that subconscious is there running in the background, but when you actually take time to reflect or bring self-awareness, you actually can see, oh yeah, I realize that's there. But it takes another layer of awareness with subconscious patterns and subconscious beliefs and subconscious ways of being. When it comes to the unconscious, we don't have awareness of it. Other people can see it in us and we can be brought to the awareness of it, but oftentimes we can resist it because we think like, no, there's no way I'm doing that, or I absolutely don't think that. But in the unconscious mind or in the unconscious aspects of your being, you still may. And I've seen this happen before in healing sessions and even in working with the Healy, when I run the coaching app on people and they see the things that come up as subconscious or unconscious blocks. And it's quite clear when something is unconscious versus subconscious because it's so hard for the person to even perceive the pattern. Like, it's like, what? What does that even mean? Like, it's almost like they don't even understand what's being said. It's hard to understand, find meaning. It's very fascinating when you see an unconscious pattern present for someone to look at. And as a healer, as a coach, as a guide, that's my role, to create that safe, sacred space for my clients and students to examine all the aspects of ourselves so that we can come into greater wholeness, integration. And when we heal all the aspects of ourselves and we bring awareness to all of them, sometimes just shedding the light of our awareness is enough to begin the healing. Is enough to say, oh, wow, okay, yes, I think that sometimes, I do that sometimes, and I'm committed to something different now. And it's a beautiful process because we see such rapid transformation and evolution. And this is when our life starts to really transform. And we're here to live our ultimate potential. We're here to live our highest light. We're here to live out our blueprint, any life we desire, from the level of the soul, not allowing those unconscious and subconscious patterns to sabotage, to get in the way, to be roadblocks to ease and grace. And that's the thing. It's the subconscious and the unconscious patterns that can be pushing away the very things that we desire. So you may be wondering, well, how do they even happen? Like, how do we even develop subconscious and unconscious patterns? So subconscious or unconscious patterns can come from many places. One aspect is they come from inheritance. So you can inherit something and you don't even know that you do it or you have it. And this is down to the DNA level. And we inherit things from, and we've talked about this in other podcasts, from 7 generations before us. So sometimes it's our grandparents' stuff, or it's our great-grandparents, or it's our parents' stuff that we've just taken on from genetics, from inheritance. The next level can be from the environment. We've talked about this also in past podcasts about the nature versus the nurture, where the nature is the DNA, what you're predisposed to. Actually, not really predisposed, more like you are more likely to get it because it's in you. And that's more of the nature. But the nurture is because you've been exposed to something, you are predisposed and you're more likely to take it on and then express it and embody it. So, for example, these things are the household you grew up in, the culture that you come from, what was told to you by your family about life, about love, about relationships, about money, about jobs, about work ethic. Then there's cultural and societal. So depending what country you were born into, there's also religious imprints, what you're told of how you're supposed to behave or how things are meant to be. That is absolutely playing a role in creating subconscious and unconscious programming. And that brings us to exactly what that is, and it's programming. When you come into this planet, you have a consciousness that is quite pure. And what comes with you are the things that you've inherited, plus the things from your past lives, plus the things that you're coming in with that you remember at the soul level. And then you go through life and things are implanted and programmed. And it can even be just what you hear in your household. So often one of the main big things that people have programming around is often love, money, work, because these are the things that they've seen their parents go through. You know, even when people hear their parents say, money doesn't grow on trees, or we can't afford that, or these kinds of imprints then perpetuate into your life and into adulthood. And then you might even catch yourself saying these things that were said to you as a child, but it's not you. You just took it on. It's just programming. So the same goes with TV and movies. We have unconscious and subconscious programming from movies, even like Disney movies, where, oh, this is how it's supposed to be, and the man is supposed to come and save me. And so a lot of the male-female relational dynamics were put into us based on movies, even like romantic comedies or whatever movies are watched, and where we see these patterns that are put into place. And that brings us to the next thing, schooling. The school system for the masses was developed in a certain type of way to create worker bees. And even the government has their programming with things like telling you what's good for your health and not good for your health. Just like we've seen the public ad campaigns where, oh, an egg, it's so bad for you, it's high cholesterol. Oh, wait, it's an incredible edible egg. It's actually the best thing for you. So we even have witnessed within our lifetime how they've changed the programming. And that goes for everything. There's an agenda. So they want to program into humans, the masses, what they want them to believe. And then you believe it. And it's very interesting because oftentimes the first story you hear is what you feel is true. And so if you're getting your news and you're getting your information from other people, and we can even look at science and studies, we want to look at what's backing it. Who are the sources? What is the intention? So we're constantly picking up things that go into our subconscious and unconscious mind, which is why it's so important to be mindful of what you consume. even more as I've gone on to my spiritual journey, I don't even like to listen to certain lyrics of songs. Like I could love the beat. And then when I hear the song, if it's like codependent lyrics, I'm like, oh no. Like I don't want to name the artist, but even there's a song right now at this time of filming that I hear a lot in Ibiza. And the lyrics are, I don't need honesty. Baby, lie like you love me. Lie like you love me. And I'm like, what is she saying? What? Don't listen to this. And this is what happens. Like we listen to songs, we sing them, and abracadabra is I spell as I speak. So you are speaking into the ethers what's happening and playing in your subconscious mind, in your unconscious mind, and in your conscious mind, and then what actually comes out of your mouth. So it's like, be so mindful of what are the programs running in your system. So how do we bring awareness to what's programmed into us, into the subconscious and the unconscious? Because oftentimes what's sabotaging our very manifestations and the things we so deeply want to create could be these subconscious and unconscious blocks that are in the form of belief systems or ideas. And it could even be things where like you don't think you're a good person, or you don't feel like you're worthy, or a lack of self-love. And even though you're like, yeah, but of course I love myself. Like, what do you mean? Like, look at the life I've provided for myself. But when you go down to those invisible places, and not even invisible, but like these small hidden places we can find where these subconscious and unconscious beliefs and ideas are buried, and sometimes they're not even us. And so oftentimes both coaching and healing work get at uncovering these aspects and healing them and shifting them and bringing light to them, and then rewriting and reprogramming the new belief systems that are serving us. So first we'll talk about how we bring awareness to it, and then we'll talk about how we can begin to heal it. So ways to bring awareness, like I mentioned, is that intentional healing space. When you are working with a seasoned practitioner who is trained to see and find and listen for these unconscious and subconscious patterns, this helps you to bring awareness to it because they're shedding light on it. So when I work with clients, I have many different things, from goals and things they write to me and journaling prompts that they do that help. And even when they talk to me, that help me see what's going on unconsciously and subconsciously based on how they speak, how they write, how they talk about topics. I'm able to see and zero in. It's like, oh, okay, there it is. And questions, asking the right questions as a coach or a practitioner helps to uncover what's underneath the surface. So things like journaling prompts are very powerful to start to uncover things. Meditation is a very powerful self-awareness tool. I know that when I started to meditate, I started to observe my triggers before they happened. I was able to start hearing and seeing things that I would think and say and be like, oh my gosh, that's so fascinating. And then like know that it's like, that's not true, actually. Like I am hearing that and that's like not true. I don't even know if that's me. So then when even body intelligence starts to speak and you feel contractions or triggers around certain things that are mentioned or discussed, at least for me, I was like, is this even mine? You know, and I had enough of that self-awareness to say, like, is this my trigger and trauma, or is this something that I've inherited from my ancestors? And really refining that level of self-awareness is so powerful. Then anytime, as I mentioned, you're in a healing session or a coaching session, you're brought to this space that's intentionally prepared, that's energetically prepared, you open to see and receive wisdom, insights, clarity. And so something you may have never seen before or observed within yourself or your actions or your patterns or your thoughts or your beliefs or your words will rise to the surface. And that's the beauty of energy work. And that's the power of healing, especially energetic healing and healing even at the Akashic level, because that accesses all the layers of your being. So that intentional time to heal, things like breath work too. And now we're just naturally moving from that awareness piece to like, how do we actually heal it? How do we actually clear it? So some of my favorite things are energy work, breath work. So with energy work, I find it's like, and I've talked about this in a podcast in the past, that it's like the miracle work. It's like this light that brings things to the surface so that they can be healed and cleared. And you don't even need to know how it's going to happen or if it's going to happen. You can feel it. And depending on how sensitive you are, I know for me, like when I have energy work, and I actually had energy work before this session, and that's actually what inspired today's podcast. I was going to talk about something else today, but I'm like, let me just talk about what's really ripe. And I know that when things are not manifesting at the speed at which I know is possible, and when I am doing everything on my side, like I know that I'm doing, and it's not even just doing, I know that I'm being, thinking, acting in right alignment with my manifestation, and I don't see the results. Because I've been doing this work for like a decade now, over a decade. I'm quite tuned in. I know that there's a subconscious or unconscious thing that's in the way, quote unquote. And that's when I like to receive support, because the level of my expansion and the speed of my expansion is not happening to what I feel intuitively is in right order. I guess you can put it that way. And when you do energy work, you can or cannot, it doesn't matter, become aware or not of what is the subconscious or unconscious pattern, but just with the intention and with the power and the intelligence of the energy healing work, it clears. This is why I love energy work, and this is why so much of my work is based in energy, because it's so powerful. Breath work is another powerful tool to clear and heal unconscious patterns, because we go beyond the mind by focusing on the breath and breathing. We go beyond the mind, beyond the protective mechanisms of the unconscious, so that we can go into places to heal, release, clear, reorder. And most of the time, we don't even need to know what it is. Just the act of the breath and moving beyond the voluntary system and going beyond the normal capacity of the body pushes you into new places. And the breath alone is very powerful to release things. And that's the thing. That's what we want to do with the unconscious and subconscious patterns, is we want to just release them. We want to heal them. We want to rewrite them. So that gets into affirmations, like working with certain types of affirmations is very powerful to shift things at the level of the mind, the subconscious and unconscious mind. And there are tools like tapping, even writing affirmations out a certain number of times. I will share that in the bonus content. Also, even though I'm not the biggest fan of psychedelics, I've shared with you why, because of all the risks associated with it. And we can use tools like meditation, and even just the act of meditation and bringing awareness to the subconscious and unconscious mind through sitting there in silence and bringing your focus on a one point of focus helps to illuminate the parts of our unconscious and just clear them. So a lot of it is an act of grace. And so getting back to psychedelics, it also serves to access unconscious and subconscious patterns and bring light and illumination to places that we may have been challenged to look at. I also love, I'm working with it now, and it's been my newest tool to work with, is the Healy, because specifically in the coaching app, you put in, so the Healy, if you don't know, I did do a podcast in the past, and there'll be more, because this device is just so incredible. It's like quantum technology of the future, of the past, of Atlantean times. It's just incredible. And what we can do is put in a goal, as if it is already manifested. And then it scans our frequency, our body, our mind, our subconscious, and then it tells us what is the block, what is standing in the way, what are the unconscious, subconscious, inherited patterns, what is, and it basically shares to the level at which it's subconscious or unconscious. And then it provides the frequencies to bring those parts that are out of alignment into resonance, into alignment, so that your whole being is operating in alignment with your goal, with your intention, what you want to manifest and create. So this has been a super fun tool to work with. And I really invite you to get curious about your unconscious and your subconscious. And if you don't know where to start, I recommend the practice of meditation. People are like, yeah, I know, but it honestly is such a powerful practice. Or going and having an energy healing session. Or going and getting your own Healy so you can be empowered with yourself. And that's the disclaimer I want to share too, though, is even though I work with the Healy every day, I also love working with practitioners, because I also feel that the energy work in that space of like two consciousnesses coming together is also quite profound. And to be able to have that discussion and talk about it, because the thing is that you can do energy healing work and not even need to talk about it. But I find in order for the mind to heal too, it likes to have that mental masturbation to talk about things, like to talk about, oh, right, I was noticing that. And okay, that's connected to that. There's something very soothing for the mind when we choose to involve it in the healing. Because, and what I mean by the mind, I mean the conscious mind, because the conscious mind is creating all kinds of stories based on subconscious programming, unconscious programming, and what's experienced in the now. So involving the conscious mind through talking, that's why even my sessions have a component of coaching with the conscious mind, and then energy healing work that's more of the subconscious and the unconscious. And then that time when we're in the space of grace where the energy work is coming through and we don't know how it's happening, but we know that light frequencies and healing frequencies come through to clear out and dissolve whatever is not serving and amplify our unique light, our ultimate potential, our unique frequency, so that we can be that beacon that sends out the signal of this is who I am, this is what I desire, this is what I'm creating. And then the quantum, the universe can send to us and magnetize to us the opportunities, the people, the situations that are in alignment with what we're wanting to create, what we desire to create, and ultimately, what is our destiny. So to access our destiny, this reality is a form of a game where we're healing and clearing, and through our free will, making choices that are deciding our fate, that are deciding the outcome in every moment. This is not a passive experience. Life is not a passive experience. We must step up to the plate and use our free will and take the wheel and drive our life. Absolutely. And we make stops along the way, and we choose for circumstances and situations to come into our lives. And we don't have control of how it happens, but we have free will to decide, do I want to have this experience or not? Some experiences just happen to us, but we have free will to decide how we're going to respond, if we're going to continue having the experience or if we're choosing to move on. And I talk about free will a lot. And the way free will plays into here is you may not even realize it, but your subconscious and your unconscious programming and beliefs may be influencing and impacting your free will. So instead of you acting in highest alignment with your soul's blueprint and your highest potential, you end up making decisions that are saboteur decisions. And I feel that unconscious and subconscious patterns are connected to fear. So when we worry and fear about things, that haven't even happened yet. This is all because of things that we've taken on. And we have these stories, these patterns, these frequencies running in the background, and we're trying to protect ourselves from things that maybe happened to our ancestors or happened that we were present for in childhood. And then we make decisions based on these situations that are not even the reality of the now. And so much of our work is coming into greater awareness, which is greater sovereignty, so that we're free of influences that are not the truth of us. We are free of outside noise. And in a sense, your subconscious and your unconscious is like noise. It's noise that you necessarily didn't consciously choose. And in some moments, you possibly did consciously make an agreement. So the contracts we make with ourselves are also conscious and unconscious choices and agreements and patterns. And so a lot of my work is contract work where we rewrite things because we see like, what was the agreement I made with myself when that really challenging, painful situation happened? Did you decide you were never going to open your heart again? But then here you are calling in love, and then you can't meet a man or a woman, or you can't open yourself fully, or you find yourself sabotaging it because a part of you decided, I'm not going to love again, or I'm not going to open my heart like that again. These are the kinds of unconscious and subconscious things that you may have done, and they may even be from past lives. And so that's the fascinating thing about us as humans is we're so complex and we're so multidimensional, and so many things are affecting our current life experience. So my invitation to you is that anytime something is challenging you, a situation, you feel stuck, things are not quite moving along, you're repeating a pattern, and you're like, but I just don't get it. What's going on here? And you feel flabbergasted. You feel like, I don't even know what else I could do. The invitation is look at the unconscious and the subconscious aspects of yourself. Find a healer, find a coach, find a resource, get into meditation, do energy work, get your Healy, whatever works for you, whatever you feel drawn to. Because attraction is the number one thing that's telling you, like, that's the next step. What you feel attracted to, what you feel drawn to is your soul saying, like, okay, let's go there. So there's no one way to do this, but it's really about starting to look at those parts. And other techniques that are also actually really good for the subconscious and the unconscious, and things that we're wanting to repress within our memory system, and this is even connected to trauma, are things like EMDR and certain types of, because these are certain types of like rapid eye movement therapies that access parts of your brain. And again, you don't need to know what it is you're clearing. There are ways to see where there may be traumas in the brain, which is essentially in the mind as well. So we're coming into really beautiful advancements in healing, and I also really just love how tapping is one, and even somatic work too, which goes beyond the mind and it allows the body to speak to us. So if a certain topic comes up and you find yourself contracted in the body, you can do work to relax and soften the nervous system, so then you can make choices from your highest aligned place based on the truth of the moment, and not the unconscious, the subconscious, or even the past, like we've talked about in the last episode of the podcast. So with that, I'm so happy that you joined me today. I trust that this podcast is supportive for you on your healing journey as you continue to expand and ascend. In the bonus content, I'm going to share with you a process to help rewrite subconscious and unconscious patterns, as well as how to bring light and awareness to them. And so with that, I send you so much love. You can subscribe to the bonus content to get access to that all the way from episode 6. And so with that, big kiss, beautiful day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Dr. Nikki Starr Show. Please like this podcast and share it with anyone you feel would benefit. Subscribe to the podcast to receive bonus content. And remember, every Monday, the video version goes live on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being on the ascension path with me and for doing this great work. Sending love until next time.